Johnny Stuart and friends, and I've got a couple of good friends here. And the guy on my right, I'm glad he's my friend. I'm glad he's my friend. This is this man right here, and he hasn't changed hardly a bit, okay? This guy's become a legend and very, very famous. He is Bernie Sindler. Bernie Sindler, you're going to see today, and he's going to do most of the talking. He's already told me to shut up, or he was going to take me for a ride somewhere. I don't want to go for that ride. Not yet, okay?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. But he is a very famous guy, and his background is coupled with many, many, many people that helped make Las Vegas famous in the first place, right?
Absolutely.
Right. He is not a mobster, but he's affiliated and was networking and did a lot of service because mobsters owned and started a lot of the main casinos here in Las Vegas.
That's
right?
correct.
And therefore, they knew this man here, and we're going to find out why they knew him. Why did they know Bernie, and what happened? So what happened really was the fact that you took the wrong train. You were on the wrong track, and all at once it became the right track in a way, I guess.
Well, you may put it that way, but that's about right.
Yeah. So you were on a track. You were going from. They were coming from New York to
Miami.
To Miami, and you were told you had to move to Miami because of a asthma problem you had.
That's correct.
So you did that, but you met a very famous, well-known person. At least nowadays, he's extremely well-known. Meyer Lansky.
Well, that's true, but I didn't know it was Meyer Lansky. It became very involved, actually. My forte used to be I was a card magician, and a very good one. And I used to practice a lot. So when I got on the train in Baltimore, I was waiting for the train to move to go to Florida, and I didn't notice anybody around me. But I had my cards with me, and I decided to practice a little bit, shuffling and doing some sleight of hand for my own benefit, when all of a sudden a guy across the aisle says to me, "Hey kid, that's pretty good stuff. Can you do some tricks?" I used to love to do tricks. So I said, "Yeah," and I look over, there's a man with another guy sitting next to him, and across from him is another guy. Next to him is a woman. I have no idea who they are. So the fellow across me says, "My name is Meyer. This is George next to me. The other guy is Benny, and the woman's name is Virginia, and your name is," and I tell him my name, Bernie. And everybody's very affable, sociable. So I start doing my tricks and my magic, and it's pretty good stuff, so it keeps people's interest. It's not ordinary kind of sleight of hand. So eventually, I'm all through, about 40 minutes later. Now we're all good friends, and they're oohing and ahhing about the tricks. Finally, we get around to normal conversation, which is usually what happens, and he said, "Where are you going?" Well, he knew where I was going. I'm going to Miami. And he said, "What are you going to do there? Got a place to stay?" And he's very friendly with me. I'm answering his questions. I got no place to stay, I tell him, but I'll find a place. So he says, "Yeah, come with me. Maybe I got a place for you."
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Is this Meyer doing this?
This is Meyer.
Okay.
Wow. Again, I have no idea who they are. And now I'm shaking everybody's hand. Virginia was a very good-looking woman. I don't know who she is. I have no idea who any of them are. So we go to Florida, and they're talking about Las Vegas a little bit, but I'm not paying no attention to it. It means nothing to me. I've never been to never even heard of Las Vegas. So we get to Miami, and next thing I know, there's two large cars waiting. We get in the car, we go to Bay Road, 2180 Bay Road. I'll never forget it. And there's a mansion there with a big gate, tennis courts, big house, and I can see in the background they got a houseboat. So as we approach, the gate opens up, and out comes a fellow. Name is Jack Cooper. Real friendly guy. how you doing? He gives this guy Meyer a hug, and Benny a hug, and I don't think nothing of that. It looks normal to me. Jack comes over to me and he says, "I understand you need a place to stay." So he takes me to the houseboat, and you'll stay here for a while. No time limit. You just stay here for a while. And everybody's happy and having a good time. We decide later on we're going to go eat something at Wolfie's, which was world famous.
Got a good memory, doesn't he?
Oh, unbelievable.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a world famous place. So we all get in the car. It was on Lincoln Road. And we all go to Wolfie's. Now we go to Wolf, which was a famous sandwich shop. It was probably the most famous shop in the world. And we go in there, and we sit down at the table, and all of it, suddenly here comes people coming over, shaking hands with Meyer and with Benny. And I'm thinking, who's these people?
Was Virginia with you too still?
Virginia's with me.
All right.
With us. And next thing you know, he's introducing me to these guys, and he says, "Hey, show him a trick. Show him."
Now they want you to perform.
Perform. They wanted me to perform. Well, that was okay with me. So I do a trick for a guy, a couple of real good ones. Next thing I know, he slips me a fin, $5. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what to do. Mary says, it's okay. And before you know it, I made about $12. I'm
Wait,
thinking,
now $12 then is quite a bit of money.
You better believe it was a lot of
Now
money.
you own the houseboat.
So I'm thinking, Jesus, this is pretty nice. And this goes on all the time. No matter where we go, Meyer's dragging me along. I'm the center of attraction. He's introducing me to these guys, and they're all giving me money. And I'm saying, this is better than working. So he introduces me to the crowd at the Bayshore Country Club, where they play gin rummy and they play golf. And I was a pretty good golfer even in those days.
I couldn't remember what I did yesterday, let alone all the stuff he's doing.
Oh, no.
But I knew I could play cards. There were very few people in this world could beat me playing gin rummy. I knew it. And
You made a lot of money playing gin rummy,
I
didn't
made
you?
a fortune.
You made a fortune
If I
playing
tell
gin
you,
rummy.
over a period of 60 years, I probably won $5 million
Oh, my gosh.
at least.
All I ever played was Old Maid.
No.
Then I married one.
Oh,
No, kidding.
kill you later.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm now acclimated, and I'm spending my time at the golf course. I know it. By this time, anybody in New York and Chicago, I know them all. Actually, I met Steve Wynn's wife, was one of the, Elaine Pascal.
You met Elaine even before he married her, right?
Yeah, he didn't know her when I met
Didn't
her.
even know her.
And she was a little girl, and she had a brother, Mike, and her father was Sonny Pascal. So Sonny was out of Chicago, and he was a high-rolling gambler. Made a lot of money selling radio time. In those days, radio was the thing. And he spent every winter in Florida. So we became good friends, and we started playing golf all the time. He played gin all the time, never wanted anything.
But he could never beat you, right?
No, nobody could beat me. And I was making a very substantial living. I was, had money.
This guy right here, making a ton of money. That's this guy.
So I'm there 2 years. It's now 46, 1946. It's a long time ago. And Meyer says to me, "Listen, I want you to go. We're building a hotel in Las Vegas." I have no idea what he's talking about, a hotel. What kind of hotel? But he said, "I want you to go out there and look around, hang around, and just,
Be his eyes and his ears.
something of that nature." At this time, they owned the El Cortez downtown.
Oh, I like the El Cortez.
Yeah.
I've been there. You've been there.
Yeah, and he sends me in there. That's where I stay at the beginning. And I'm out now. This is in December of 1946. They're going to open up the hotel December the 26th, 1946. In a couple of weeks, they're going to open the hotel. The problem was that the hotel was never ready. They were fighting about money, about stealing, about this again. That Benny was absconding. He and Virginia were taking the money and going to Europe. It was definitely not, totally not true. He didn't have enough money to finish the place. They were spending it so fast. And they actually, in my opinion, every dime went into the building. And it was not ready to open up. The hotel was ready, but none of the rooms. So on December 26th, they had 5 planes chartered from Los Angeles to fly in the high rolling all movie stars.
5 airplanes going to fly them in.
Never took off. The reason, the weather was so bad they were grounded. So they opened the hotel without the 5 planes. There was local people, the people that were guests, but they were all staying at the El Rancho and the Last Frontier. They couldn't stay at the hotel because it wasn't open. The rooms weren't ready. And they had Baccarat crystal ashtrays, the most beautiful things, all over the hotel. So here's what happened. The people that were staying at the other hotels came because they were obligated to come. Meyer knew them all. Benny knew them all, more than Meyer even, because Benny spent a lot of time around Los Angeles. He wanted to be a movie star. He even took dictation lessons, but he was not quite good enough. And here come the guests. They gamble, but comes around 10 o'clock at night, and the weather's terrible. They want to go back to where they're staying, which is normal. Most people come to Vegas, they eventually leave and go back to where they're staying. So the tables, and they were running bad on top of it all. They weren't winning. You know, casinos don't win all the time. So they were not having a good night. And more than that, Benny went crazy. Every single crystal was stolen. Every one, the ashtrays, the Baccarat crystal. And he went berserk over that. And they were very expensive. So, a week later, they closed down the place.
This is the El Cortez?
No, this is the Flamingo.
Oh, Flamingo.
The Flamingo.
Was our friend alive, Siegel? Was he alive at that time?
Yeah, sure. He was running the place.
He was running it still.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the boss.
Yeah, Bugsy was running it.
Yeah. So they closed it down, and they reopened. By this time, a lot of guys that had invested money in the Flamingo were very dissatisfied. Not a lot, but some of them. So I know for a fact that Meyer bought out all the disinterested partners.
He bought out the bad guys, or the guys that were upset. They wanted their money back.
They were all bad guys.
They were all bad guys.
But the ones who want their money back, he gave them their money back, and they were out, and he owned the...
Was he the main owner at that time?
No. Benny, well, it's hard to say because Benny Siegel was the main owner. He bought out Billy Wilkerson, and Benny was the main owner. Where the actual money came from, I don't know. I would assume most of it was Myers and their associates. So when they open in May, the place becomes a roaring success. You can't move in the place. They're making so much money they don't know what to do with it. The only purpose a casino had in those days was to skim. The value of the building meant nothing. You paid $5 million for it. What if you could sell it for $7 million? They didn't want that. They wanted the money off the top where they hadn't have to show. And they were skimming. I think they took...
Bugsy's still alive at this point,
Bugsy's
right?
still alive. Yeah, he's a big man now. He's a very big man.
And you're out there doing your thing, too. Were you working at the Flamingo?
I was not really being... I was working there, but I wasn't working there. I was not ticketed. I was just hanging around, so to speak, watching what goes on around the 21 games. So it now comes, and as I said, the place is doing fabulous. And now comes June. June the 22nd. And Meyer and Benny goes and he takes a little trip to L.A. There's an opening called Jack's on the Beach, and he was invited to go. He goes there. Now, Virginia, this time, they had such a big fight. She's scared to death of him. She's now living in Paris because he beat her up something terrible. I gotta retract a little bit. When about a week before the Flamingos opening up, Virginia is out in front. I happen to be walking by there, and I say, "Hi, Virginia," but she's with a soldier. And I could see the conversation was a little bit loud. I had no idea who he is. And I walk over, "Hey, hi, Virginia," being friendly. And she hardly gives me a look. She says, "Oh, hi, Bernie. This is my brother." It was either Bob or Bill. I don't remember anymore.
So her brother was there.
Her brother was there as a Marine.
All right.
And they continue arguing. Now, Virginia, at this particular moment, had big bruises on her face. Apparently, Benny and
Is
her...
this the same Virginia that was on the train?
Same Virginia.
Okay, now this becomes kind of like Bugsy's girlfriend.
She is his girlfriend.
Is his girlfriend.
But Bugsy, if he wanted to be another girlfriend, he'd have two.
Yeah.
It didn't bother him to be loyal to Virginia. So he beats her up a little bit, hurts her actually. And the brother's there, and he's saying they're fighting about how she looks. And the brother says, "I'm going to kill that son of a bitch." Everybody says that, you know. You hear, but I hear this.
You heard him say it.
Oh yeah, so I was right there. So I said, I said, "Hey kid," he was older than me. I says, "Listen, if I were you, I'd be careful what I say around here because people might take it the wrong way." He didn't pay no attention to what I said. And I'm getting to a point because here's the point. In June the 22nd now, it's now 6 months later, Benny is in Virginia Hill's home on Linden Avenue with Alan Smiley, who was one of Benny's best friends, a real sharp guy. He had a way around everything. He knew how to make money. He's sitting on the sofa. He's on one end, and he's reading the new. Siegel is sitting on one end reading the paper. Smiley's down the other end, kind of dozing off. It's about 10 at night or so. And here it comes. Boom, here comes the shots from outside. It blows Benny apart. They don't... Smiley got a little scratch, but nothing. He dives on the floor right away, and he was okay. So...
But it hit Bugsy too,
yeah,
too.
blew
Right?
his head off. Blew his eyes out. Blew him to smithereens, dead. Now here come the police and everything.
And Virginia wasn't even there, right?
Virginia's
She was gone.
She's in Paris.
Yeah.
She's afraid to come home.
And who did everyone think did that murder, killed Bugsy? Who did they think did it?
Everybody thought it was a hit by the mob.
But you have a different story.
I have a different story. I would, if I had to make one bet in life, I would say that the Marine killed Siegel. Now, the reason I say this is the way he got killed. First of all, if they're going to kill you, they want to make sure that they kill you. They don't want to take a chance of guys shooting from 15, 20 feet away and hitting you dead center. They don't know. The way they do it, and they do it all the time, you see it in the movies, but it's true. They get you in the front seat of a car, for whatever reason. They're going to go somewhere. A couple of guys are all laughing, having fun in the back seat of the car, and next thing you know, the guy reached with the gun.
So they're close up and calculated.
Can't get close. They got it right next to his head. They want to make sure the guy is dead.
So they wouldn't stand outside the house and shoot through a window.
No, they wouldn't take a chance like that, even though they knew it would probably work, but they wouldn't. Too far away. 15 feet is too far away. So the brother disappears. To this very day, and nobody ever saw the brother again. They find the gun. The police in those days, in my opinion, were glad that Benny was killed because he was a nuisance to them in California, and nobody liked him in Nevada. So when he was dead, and they were sure he was dead, they talked about it, and that was the end of the story. It was a one-day contract in the paper, and never talked about it again.
And now, but it's been a big thing, and you're one of the very few people, and you mentioned that in your book, that you actually, your surrogate father was mainly Myra Lansky.
Meyer was my man.
Yeah, he was your guy.
I was friendly with Benny, but Meyer...
Did you talk to him about this, and did he tell you what he thought? Meyer?
No.
He never, no, he didn't,
No, there was a reason. I didn't want to know.
You didn't want to get involved in that.
I didn't want to get involved in it. I didn't want Meyer telling me something which may or may not be true. I didn't want to hear it. And we all mourned the fact that Benny was dead, but that was the end of Benny. I'm telling you, Meyer was glad he was dead, in my opinion. He loved the guy, but he would never kill him. This is what I think, being around these guys. He would never, ever okay. It would have been Jack.
Death of something like that, the way it was done.
Because if he got assassinated, it would have had to been done by a guy named Jack Dragna, who was the boss of Los Angeles at the time. And it was on his turf, and he would have had to be the one. I know that, what's the name with the scar? Lucky Luciano had to give the okay. And he would never do it. He loved Meyer too much. Meyer was too important to him. He was running all their operations, and it just would never, in my opinion, could never happen.
Let's introduce this friend down here for a second. This is Bob Matt Brown. You go by Matt more than Bob, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. And you're a good friend of his for about the last year and a half, 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And this man here has become actually very close to you.
Yes.
Right? And so you personally have been in show business and real estate and all kinds of things here in Las Vegas.
Right, long time.
He's affiliated with the mob, but you're an actual mobster.
Oh, thank you. I don't think so.
Well, maybe not. You're a Bobster. Bobster. I meant Bobster.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're also a very close friend of mine.
Right.
Okay. And so the fact is that you personally are involved in lots of different things, and you guys have created this great relationship. And we all both know that he has right now a one-man play that's being written about him.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's going to be on Broadway.
Yeah, it's going to go on Broadway, a one-man play. They haven't picked anyone to play you yet, right?
No, there's some potential candidates.
They can't find anyone good looking enough unless it's you or me, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Matt. Okay. Okay. So anyway, so that, and then they're going to do a movie. Maybe in the next year and a half they'll do a movie.
Yes. There's definitely going to be a movie.
Yeah. So this man here, if I could say, I'm going to say his date of birth, right?
Right.
April 27, 1925.
That's true.
Hey, he was born 2 years after me and you.
Right.
Yeah. So we're a little bit older.
Right. A little bit, not much.
So you're what today? 92.
92.
92 years old. That's amazing.
Still
you look
driving,
great.
still driving and
his
dating.
mind is sharp as heck. It's hard to interrupt the story that he's telling because he has all the details. There's nothing you can really do to give this man details. Now, before we go any further for a minute, Matt, we're going to watch a little video here about him and see where that is so we can integrate that with it, and then we have lots of other things we're going to ask him. Okay? Scott, we're ready to roll that video.
You do what you want to do. So, this to me is evident. The owner of the house comes out, wonderful guy, big guy, strong, named Jack Cooper. He had tennis clothes on. Jack Cooper, the world doesn't know it, but I'm telling you a fact now, and not two people on earth know. Jack Cooper was Meyer Lansky's alter ego. Cooper signed everything. Everything was in Cooper's name. Meyer signed nothing. And the reason I know this is because I have actual documents I'll tell you later about where they made a deal with me. That's when I got a hold of money, but I'll tell you. I mean, these guys loved me. They didn't do nothing for me. Take care of me. They took good care of me. And they wouldn't give me nothing until I bought it. But anyway.
So you're staying at Jack Cooper's house.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, Meyer says, come on, we're going to go get something to eat. Where are they going to go? Wolfie's. Famous restaurant, Wolfie's restaurant on Collins Avenue. And then remember now, this is in the winter time. It looks like, I think all the gangsters moved to Florida for the winter. There's no doubt in my mind about it. They're all there. They're smart. So we go to Wolfie's, and he's introducing me to guys. I'm not going to repeat the names because I have no idea who they are. But they're friendly. I was Meyer, so I don't know this, but I'm thinking to myself, God damn, boy, they're really treating me nice. And he said, do a card trick. So I start doing card tricks. Next thing I know, they give me $5, $4, $8. I'm making a little show card tricks. And I think this is pretty. Thank them all. That at night we go to another famous restaurant called Park Avenue, which Winnie Grover, who became a big man here at Caesar's one time. To this moment, I don't really know the truth. I don't want to think anything, but if you read these letters, it makes one wonder. Anyway, yeah, she got the most beautiful apartment in Beverly Hills. She tells me, come on to Beverly Hills, see her. I do it. We are married in February of '64. And I'm going to tell you, life, there's no way life could be better. I'm living in a penthouse, and I'm playing at the Friars Club, gin rummy every day. We're whining and dining at the best place. And we had a French maid, a cook, and a maid. It was unbelievable. So Meyer now comes to me, and he says, we're going to build, on Camden, Wilshire, we're going to build a 9-story hotel. And we want you to kind of front it for us. You need 100,000. In those days, 100,000 was a pretty good number. 64, 63, 4. I agree.
We're going to look for some more exciting pieces because a lot of that was a little bit redundant of what we're already talking about, and we don't want that to interfere with anything. Your life is so interesting. I mean, it's amazing that you got through it. You know, one thing that the play is going to be called, and that I read in reading your book, one of the most famous lines that I've ever read, and I'm going to kind of use this as my thing to go by, is the fact of what you did. You said here. Who wrote this thing at the end here about your book? Did you write these things in here? It says here, it says, everyone in life is dealt a hand.
Oh, that's right.
Is that you?
That's me, yeah.
Okay. Look at this line, Matt. It's unbelievable. Everyone in life is dealt a hand. And they are,
Yes.
you know. My daughter just 4 days ago broke her wrist.
There you go.
Okay, she's got to live with that. She dealt that hand, right? She rode the bike and she did it. Everyone that passed away through the mob or otherwise, they were playing some kind of hand, weren't they?
They were playing a role.
They were doing it.
Yeah, they would.
Okay, and some of them make up their own rules and they don't go by other rules. But
Yeah.
all of us in life are dealt a hand. And
That's
then
true.
the great line that you say, I played the hand I was dealt.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of what your one-man show's about, isn't it?
that's what it's about.
You played the hand you were dealt. And somehow you, unlike a lot of people, got through it unscathed. You know? I mean,
Well,
people
yeah.
could have got you more involved with things and and little things that you witnessed. For example, that little piece that we just saw a little bit at the library there that was kind of taken there. There was a guy named Sean in that was just a young 10-year-old kid, and you were there when this kid got grabbed by the throat by a tiger at the Flamingo.
It was at the MGM.
MGM Grand, tiger grab. Tell us that story.
Okay, it was 1976
Of course, knows all the dates.
at the Siegfried and Roy show. We had two showrooms at the MGM, a star room for stars and the other for this production Hallelujah Hollywood. And Sean was the opening act, not Sean, they were called the Seven Alexanders was the name of the group. And they were the opening act for Siegfried and Roy. They were a very world famous tumbling act. And this was going to be the debut for the youngest member, whose name was Sean Stanek. He was 10 years old, strong as it could be, and he was going to be the fifth man on the. It was like a tumbling team where they all got on each other's shoulders.
They did the pyramid.
The pyramid, and he was going to be on top. Waiting to go on was Siegfried and Roy. When the act ended, Siegfried and Roy was going to go on. And the handler for Siegfried and Roy had a black leopard and a panther who was part of the act. For whatever reason, the kid the kid made a funny move and the leopard got spooked. And he pulled away from his handler. He shouldn't have, because the handler didn't have a proper grip. There's an actual way you're supposed to hold a rein, so if he goes forward, it tightens on your hand, but he didn't do that. And it attacks the boy, puts his neck in his throat.
He actually grabbed him in the
grabbed
throat.
him by but he was declawed, so he had a hard time holding on with his paws.
So he had to hold on with his mouth.
So it only with the mouth. And the mother goes hysterical. She attacks the leopard by hand, trying to pull the leopard off.
The mother does.
The mother was part of the act, the tumbling act. And it looks like it's all over, because she can't pull the leopard off the boy. But in comes Siegfried, and he says something in German, and the leopard lets go right away, like nothing happened. And he goes back to the handler, but it's too late. Now the kid spends, I think it was 3 months in the hospital, got about 14 bites in his neck, but he's strong and healthy, and he survives it. And now to this day, which is like 1970, 24, 17, 41 years later, he's one of my very good friends. He's in the movie industry business. And
well, if this was in 76?
1976.
Okay, well, that's more than 20. That's
24 and 17.
Yeah, that's over 40 years ago.
That's what I said, 41 years.
Yeah, and do you know what it goes to show you? Mm-hmm. Okay, it goes to show you that if you're going to get around lions or any kind of wild people like that, you got to learn German.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a good point.
You saw
the cat only knew German.
Yeah.
And,
oh, that's what you want. Okay, he lets him go. Okay.
Now, the best part of this little story is when he goes in the hospital, Siegfried and Roy never go to visit him. They make some kind of little settlement, and I see Roy 40 years later, or about 38 years later, and I asked him about the incident. I knew Roy.
Had Roy already been attacked? Because now, of course, now Roy went through the same thing.
This was prior to Roy being attacked.
Okay.
When I saw Siegfried.
Did Sean go visit Roy in the hospital?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No.
No.
Okay, so what happened when you saw him?
Well, it was a nice reunion, and we got to be very good friends. And I'm trying to actually get involved. If I do the movie, maybe if I can help him out, I'm going to.
It's amazing.
And that's what happened with that story.
I think the worst animal attack that I know of here in Vegas is when Roy got attacked.
Yes.
That was
You know?
terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Terrible. That was a big animal. That white tiger was big.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing for Sean it wasn't the big white tiger.
No, he
would
wouldn't
have swallowed him.
He never survived.
He would have swallowed him.
Yeah.
Okay, now Meyer, who was your surrogate father, your
Yeah.
godfather, right?
Yeah.
He died in 1983, the same year I opened Legends.
Yeah.
Okay, and he died of natural causes. With all the things he did, would you consider that he certainly was a mobster, right?
Yeah, he was definitely.
He was definitely a mobster,
He was definitely a monster.
along with Bugsy Siegel
But he-
and Lucky
But he
Luciano.
but he had a Meyer knew how to keep everybody calm. He was the rock that held all the mobs together.
Well, listen, who in your opinion was the most dangerous mobster that you know of your recollection? They're all gone now. You're the only living associated mobster. Affiliated, but not a mobster. So, of all the mobsters, who was the one that you thought was the most dangerous, if you look back on it?
Well, the one with the most power was Luciano. He was
Lucky Luciano,
Yeah, he was the man.
okay?
Nothing happened without him, O'Can.
And what was he most famous for?
Being head
Head of everybody.
Head of everybody. The syndicate. I would use the word syndicate. Everything went through Meyer. Through Lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah, but Lucky relied on Meyer to run all. He ran the whole operation. Meyer ran everything. He knew
Okay.
he knew how to do it, and they never cheated. The games were on the square.
And the reason a lot of people knew you because you actually was the main guy in guest relations, right?
Well, yeah, but
So when great people came in, you took care of them.
I owned 3 hotels on this. I was partners.
Oh, wait now. Are you giving this a little credit to, is it Virtus?
Virtus, that's right.
Virtus, you were married to her for about 10 years,
Yeah.
and you're such a good-looking guy that made you a very rich guy, didn't it?
You know, she was rich.
She was
Yeah.
very rich, and that didn't hurt you any. It made you a little richer
she
too,
was
right?
We got along really good.
You got along great. And so you actually weren't just working in hotels, you're an owner of hotels.
Now,
And all
by
these
this
people
time-
loved you and wanted to work with you because of your affiliation with this kind of thing.
Yeah, and I got involved with Meyer in London. We were going to buy 5 places, 3 in London, 1 in Manchester, and 1 in Birmingham, casinos.
Do you think he has a good memory? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
But we ran into trouble with these little groups that ran these places. I don't figure they had a name that actually they were bakers, cooks, carpenters, and they ran these little towns. And we had a hard time getting. We never did get approved, except for one place in London called the Colony Club. And George Raft.
Was George Raft the one on the train?
George Raft was one on the train.
That's an amazing story in itself. I mean, there's an amazing legend himself.
He
Okay?
was a legend. You're
Yeah,
right, George
he's
Raft.
George Raft, major. He played a lot of gobsters.
He played a lot
He
of
played the mobsters
He
in the
played-
movies.
That was his forte.
That's it.
And he was the host at the Colony Club, the greeter. And he wore the spats. He looked just like he looked in the movies from the 40s. He was great. He was just great. And the people loved him. And it was a very successful place. But I got out of that and I moved back to Las Vegas. And I got involved in the Frontier Hotel, the Silver Slipper, and Circus.
Okay, so you were involved in mainly the Silver Slipper,
Yeah.
Circus,
And the Frontier.
and the Frontier.
Right.
The only one that's around right now is Circus Circus.
Circus Circus still around.
And that's owned by the guy that bit the tiger. I mean, the tiger bit the guy. The MGM Grand.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So the fact is, you've had an unbelievable life. You've somehow you've lived it, and somehow you're pretty healthy, aren't you?
Somehow survived it.
You survived it. 92 years old, and your memory's as sharper than mine when I needed mine when I was taking tests in high school. Okay, I should have had him take my test. Right. Now, we haven't had you say anything. Did you want to say anything that you haven't said?
Well,
That's enough. Thank you. Okay, no. What would you like to say? Anything about this man that you know that you want to say that we know?
Yes, he's probably the most unique guy I ever met in my life. And when he tells you something, it's how it really is. You don't have to check it. You don't have to follow up.
Straight on.
Straight on. He said to me when I first met him, he says, I'm going to do this book, and I'm going to come back in about a year, and I'm going to talk to you about it. And I'm thinking, sure, I hear this on a regular basis. A year almost to the day, Bernie came back. Bernie, you tell him how that happened.
I came back. I wasn't looking for him, actually. No. I was on the same floor where his office was, on Sarah Avenue, the third floor. And I was looking for someone else with a different office. They weren't in, so I'm going to leave. And I go downstairs, and in the yard there, the driveway, I see him, and I'm looking at him and say, I know that guy. I said, I think that's the guy I met a year ago.
It was,
so,
yeah.
And I went over
photographic memory.
Yeah. And I went over to him, and it was him. So we had a good relationship, and I saw a lot of him. I enjoyed going and seeing him. He got a lot of good guy.
He comes in the office every day, at least 2 hours with me. We have some coffee, some cake, and we reminisce, and it's unbelievable. He could talk for 4 months and never hit the same story, but it's all real stuff.
It's amazing, absolutely like amazing.
This, let me tell you, this movie or TV series, whichever he does, there's nothing will be like it in history.
No, I don't
people are
think
hungry
so.
for the story. They're hungry for the real truth, and he's the only one left that knows the truth.
Well, my book is different.
Yeah.
It's about me.
Yeah.
All the other guys wrote the books about the mob, but this guy, was secondhand. There's no first-hand movies out. No. Books that doesn't exist. And, an autobiography. And so everything in this book, which is totally different than anybody else's life, it's unique, it's different, it's fresh. So the stories are different. And that's
amazing. It's about all the women that you've been with that you admired and you respected them. With Jacqueline, the coachman, is that her name?
Cochran.
Jacqueline Cochran, and she was a pilot and actually flew one of the fastest airplanes in the world at that time.
At the time, it was the fastest.
Right, and you were with her, and she actually was a part of your life for a while. Then you had
8 years.
8 years. Then for Virtus for another 10 years.
Yeah.
See, you didn't leave them; they just couldn't live long enough for you.
Some of them intertwined.
And Virtus was what you call the jackpot.
Virtus was the greatest.
Yeah, she was a jackpot.
I don't want to use the word jackpot. That's not a good word.
Okay. I take that word away. I want to be able to live tomorrow.
A great partner.
I take it away. She was a good partner.
Yeah, she loved the life.
She loved the life, and you loved it.
We lived in Europe, as I said.
You know, one of the most interesting things that in reading the book that you didn't do, you never became an informant to the degree that the FBI somehow they liked you enough, they respected you enough, and you never got indicted. But they knew you had so many connections. It's amazing you never got indicted. Don't you think so?
That's true. I've been through 2 groups that got indicted. I never did. But I had a meeting of the minds with the FBI. I've never told this to anybody, but they tried to turn me into what they call a high echelon informant, which is that's as high as you can get to be a snitch, so to speak, for the government. And we made a deal. I don't want to talk about it. We made a deal, and consequently, everybody twice got indicted. I never got indicted.
I just want to know, when this is over, this whole thing, can we start our car when we go out of here?
Be
Is that going to be okay?
Be careful.
Be careful.
Well, he's riding with me, so I'm safe.
I brought a skateboard. I don't know about you. Okay. You know, I'm glad you didn't get indicted, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you had such a great life and everything. And we want to tell everyone right now that the greatest guy I know, and you don't want to miss his movie, you don't want to miss him, you don't want to miss anything, is Bernie Sindler. He is the guy. He is the man that survived it all, and we're going to probably have him on again because he has a million stories. He never finishes them up because he had such a great life and what he did. And next time we come on, we'll talk about, you were there when Frank Sinatra, you weren't there, but you heard about Frank Sinatra got his teeth knocked out.
Absolutely.
Right? So
Carl Cohn.
well, we've had a great time with you today. You got to tell part of your stories, but he has so many stories, we can't get them all done in an hour, you know?
It's true.
And we're glad to have you here, Mr. Matt Brown and Bernie Sindler. They can get this book down at the Mob Museum, right?
Right.
And can they get it online also?
Yeah, on Kindle.
Kindle.
Okay, say it. How do you do it?
Kindle books.
Kindle. Amazon Kindle.
Amazon Kindle books, you can get Bernie Sindler online, the Bernie Sindler story. Okay? And don't forget, this man said, one of the most greatest thing is that everyone in life is dealt a hand, and he played the hand he was dealt. It's an honor to know you, sir. It's an honor. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.